Wow, your car is amazing. What is it?
It's an M3 competition, bro.
Damn, how did you afford that?
Hop in.
Say less. So what is it you actually do then?
So I sell on Amazon. It's called Amazon FBA, which stands for Fulfillment by Amazon. And essentially what this is, how it all works is you find a product either online or in store, usually from retailers, sometimes wholesalers, that you can buy at a lower price to then resell it back on Amazon for a higher price and make a profit. So we use softwares like SAS to find these products by scanning them, and it will give us a bunch of data, tell us how many times it sells each month, how many other sellers are on the listing, so we know the competition, how much profit it will make us, if it makes us any, and if we're actually allowed to sell that product or if we're restricted. So when we find products that we're actually able to buy and resell back on Amazon, we'll grab them, take them back to our house, label them, create a shipping plan, package them all up, and have UPS come and collect these packages from our house, and then they will take them directly to Amazon's warehouse, where they will then be stored and wait until a customer buys these products from our storefront. So you don't have to create a new listing, you don't have to put money into advertisements to actually get the product selling, because we're buying products that are already performing well, branded items. For example, Dove, that we know the brand itself has already spent millions in advertising, so the product's performing. We can see this very clearly from all the data, and we just jump on that listing and take a slice of those sales for ourselves. So once we do make a sale, Amazon will then fulfill this order for us. So they'll ship it out to the customer. So that means you don't have to go to the post office every time you make a sale. They'll also handle any returns, a load of customer messages, and you pretty much just sit and wait for the money to roll in. Of course, you have to manage your listing, make sure you're staying at a competitive price, so repricing on your products. But other than that, it's relatively straightforward. Of course, there are more in-depth parts to it and a lot to learn, but that is a basic breakdown of how Amazon FBA works. So when selling on Amazon, there are three main models that you can actually sell under. So firstly, we've got private label. Now, this is the one that everyone thinks of when they hear Amazon FBA, and essentially it's where you're buying products from places like AliExpress, Alibaba, Temu. You're buying unbranded products and essentially putting your own labeling, your own branding on these products, and then selling them back on Amazon. But what people don't realise, there is so much more to it than that. It's a much more advanced method, because you can't just buy a random product from Alibaba and sell it on a random listing that already exists and there's just one other private label seller on there, because you will just instantly get kicked off of this listing. This brand is going to have protection over this. They're going to have brand registry, and it's just something that you can't do when selling on Amazon. Not only that, but you're going to have to pay for your listing to actually be visible on the Amazon store, because you need to put money into advertisements to actually get this ranking high, so it's actually appearing when a customer searches for this brand or a similar term for that brand. So for example, if you had some glass jug and you just ordered some random unbranded one from China and then try putting that on Amazon under your listing, say your listing is Bob's Jugs, for example, right? No customer is going to be specifically searching for Bob's Jugs. So you'd have to make sure you're optimizing your keywords and putting advertisements on it to make sure that when they're searching for jugs, that your Bob's Jugs actually appears up. But this is going to cost money in advertisements. It's going to be a lengthy process, and it's really not as straightforward as people make it out to be. So that's private label. So the next way to sell on Amazon is through the wholesale method. Now, this is essentially where you're buying from wholesalers or the brand themselves or their trusted distributors, and you're buying in larger bulk quantities to get a further discount on the products you're selling. Now, people also underestimate the in-depthness of this method. They think it's very straightforward, but the reality is it's not. You have to build a relationship with these suppliers to actually be able to negotiate these lower prices, and this can take months. Not only that, but there are a lot of roadblocks when it comes to starting a wholesale business with Amazon. The reason behind this is because as a new seller, you don't have any credibility, And the majority of these wholesalers are already going to be working with other big sellers who are able to invest a lot more money than you are to be purchasing at higher quantity and naturally get lower prices than you are. So when you're just starting out, you're not a beneficial customer because you're not bringing too much to the table. Not only this, but most wholesalers, distributors or brands themselves, when you're trying to deal with them, they require you to have a physical store. So as a beginner, you're not going to have this. Another thing is they usually have a minimum order quantity or minimum order value, meaning you have to spend a certain amount, say for example 5 grand, for them to actually allow you to place an order on their site. Now this is going to be a big roadblock when you're just starting out because you don't want to be investing 5 grand into 1 or 2 products. You want to be able to test out a few smaller quantities, see how it goes, learn Amazon more, and then when you've built that knowledge up, then maybe begin to dabble your feet into larger quantities of items. But in the beginning, it's not what you're wanting to do. And lastly, starting wholesale as a beginner is even more difficult because a lot of wholesalers want to see that you've been trading within your business for a decent amount of time. They want to see VAT registered sellers, which you're not going to reach because you have to achieve 90k in revenue within a single year to go VAT registered. So as a beginner, it's just going to be off the table. Now with all this taken into consideration, wholesale isn't the greatest method to get started with because of these roadblocks. It's just unnecessary to put this extra stress and tension under your business by making it more difficult for yourself. It's like you're going against the grain. Now lastly, the methods we have is online and retail arbitrage, which are both pretty similar to wholesale by the sense that you're buying branded products and then reselling them back on Amazon. But the difference is you don't have to buy in bulk quantities. You can buy from retailers in much smaller quantities, like 1 to 10 units for example, and then test the waters, see if it works well. If it does, then you can go ahead and buy larger quantities. The reasoning behind this is that these retailers don't tend to have minimum order quantities. They don't have minimum order values. So you can just place as little orders as you want, test it out and see how it goes. Now online arbitrage is obviously where you're going online to find these products at retail stores, whereas retail arbitrage is going from store to store in person, scanning items inside the store and then buying them and packaging them up as normal. So the only difference is one is online and one's in store. Now the performance for retail arbitrage can vary. Me personally, I live in a small town. There's not really many big stores nearby. So for me to actually find a load of profitable products, it is quite difficult. They don't tend to have great discounts in the stores that I go to, so it can be a bit hit and miss. I personally do 100% online arbitrage. Maybe once every few months I might go to the shops and find a few banging deals, but other than that I do it solely online. Whereas if you live in a bigger city and you're around loads of big stores and they tend to have good deals on, then it may work well for you. But even still, going store to store is going to be a bit time consuming. And because of this, I'd say online arbitrage is hands down the best method to start Amazon FBA with. Anyway, I need to get a quick trim because my hair is looking dusty, so I'll catch you after that and we'll be running through some questions and I'll be answering them. Fresh trim, the barber's done me nicely, we're back in the game. Now we're going to hop in at M3 and be answering some questions that you guys left on my social media. Let's go.
Who inspired you to begin your FBA journey? Was it recommended to you or was it natural?
So to be honest, at the time I was just looking for some sort of side hustle to generate me more money. I was doing a bit of reselling clothes and trainers, but I knew there wasn't that much sustainability and long-term room for growth in it. And then I stumbled across Amazon FBA on YouTube. I paid someone to teach me and just got started with it.
I want to start making money online, but I don't know anything about it and feel like I'm not smart enough.
The thing is, everybody starts from the bottom. Nobody knows what they're doing in the beginning. They just get involved with it, they start, and then figure things out along the way. Of course, it helps if you have someone that you can learn from. Like, I run my own group where I teach people how to sell on Amazon. If you want to get involved with that, head to the description of this video. But things like this, is the best way to actually figure it out, because you can learn through someone else's mistakes instead of making those mistakes yourself. This is what I did and what many other people do.
A lot of people say that what you do is very saturated and not worth starting. Do you agree or not?
See, a lot of people like to say that Amazon FBA is saturated, but let me just show you my results. Now, looking at these results, would you say that it's saturated or not? Either way, clearly it doesn't matter, because you're still able to make a lot of money selling on Amazon. So regardless of whether someone tells you it's saturated or not, don't listen to them. They've probably never even sold on Amazon before themselves.
How much money do I need to invest to start Amazon FBA?
So it depends really. You can start with a minimum of around £400 that you invest into the business. It just means you're going to be growing it at a slower rate, and it's going to be a bit more of gradual progress. You can also start with more money, say £1,000 plus, and that's going to allow you to grow at a slightly quicker rate. At the end of the day, the more you can put in, the more you're going to get out. And with my mentorship, I have different opportunities for different people at different levels. So if you're starting with £500, I can help you out. If you're starting with £2,000, I can help you out. If you've got £5,000, £10,000, I can help you out.
When you say about starting Amazon FBA, you mentioned that you need to create a business. Is this that you mean you need to register as a sole trader business or partnership with the government and such?
Yeah, so when first starting an Amazon FBA business, you are going to need to register a company. Now, there's two options, a sole trader or a private limited company. Now, it's going to depend on your personal situation which one you go with. There are pros and cons to both, but to be honest, it doesn't make too much of a difference. It does just come down to your situation, and this is something we do cover inside my group, so you can get the answers tailored to your current position.
I started FBA by myself. I couldn't find any items to sell. How do I find profitable products?
So I hear this all the time. So many people message me saying they tried starting by themselves and they just didn't get anywhere with it. This is a very common thing. To be honest, if you are just starting by yourself, you know, maybe you're watching some TikToks, some YouTube videos, getting that free content, thinking you're going to be able to start and run your own Amazon FBA business, chances are it's just not going to get very far for you, because there's so much you need to learn, and there's just not anyone teaching all that in-depth information online. That is why I created my group, so people can come in there, learn exactly how to source products, the ins and outs of it all, and we even provide deals for you to buy and resell too.
Is this something better run solo or with a small team of around 2 to 3 of you, aside from having more money to play with?
Okay, so if you're referring to starting with a group of friends, for example, my preferences for this is that you start your own separate businesses. You can of course still help each other, you know, share deals, etc., bring each other up, but if you're doing it separately, it means you're going to be able to have more control over the business. Whereas if you're doing it together, then it can get a little bit confusing, and you need to make sure if you do that, that you have a lot of trust for each other and respect, because this can tear friendships apart. I've seen it happen a couple times, and it can be a risky game to play. So if you're gonna do it, then make sure it's with someone you trust a lot. Of course, as you say, having additional money to put into the business is a great factor. But on the other hand, if you're talking about just a team in general, then this is very much an essential when scaling an Amazon business. But in the beginning, you can just do everything yourself. You can be laying the foundations, putting the hard work in, learning everything and building it up. Then when you get to a point where your time is now worth more money because you've started generating profits within your business, you can then hire people such as virtual assistants or admin workers or people to package your products for you and outsource and automate more things within your business, which means you get more time back that you can focus on the more important things like scaling your business up further. If there's any questions you have that wasn't answered in this video, drop them in the comments below and I'll answer you there. You can get out now, video's done, lad.